So just needed to unload a little. I have some what is it called? Diarrhea, I think it's in English. So that's some watery. Anyway, going back to the topic. So what was the topic? Judaizer. Oh yeah, we had I never came to the thing. I was in regards of YouTube seeing some of these things. You see, people understand, or it seems they do understand, that the first Christians, which was the Nazarenes, the first believers in the Messiah, was the Nazarenes. And that the Nazarenes did what? Well, they kept the law of Jehovah. They not only believed that Yeshua was the Messiah and born of a virgin and all that, they pretty much believed the same thing as the Gentile Christians. And I'm not, there might have been Gentiles in regard to the Nazarenes. But anyway, whatever the case, they were still keeping the law in the 4th century. And now they were called heretics by the Romanizers. How can you call the first group of believers a heresy? That's just be kidding me. Anyway, see here. That's one that, this was, I think it's a Roman Catholic, where they talk and all that. And one is replying, he says, I agree with everything that you said, but I think there's a difference between the Jews, religion, and Judaizers. Just because somebody has a question concerning circumcision, I don't think that make them a Judaizer. I think Christians were making fun of other Christians for following the law, and so they called him a Judaizer. Thank you for the video. Anyway, and that's the thing, if you figuring out, maybe looking up in a lexicon, maybe opening a book, and looking up in regards to Christmas or Yule or Easter or whatever, and figuring out, hey, these traditions that we're keeping are actually pagan. Well, if you go around and tell people that, oh, no, you're Judaizing, maybe we should keep those festivals found in the Bible. No, you're Judaizing. Oh, Judaizer. Oh, legalist, extremist. It's like incredible, But again, come with some more pagan bullshit, and yep, people love it, right? Oh, another pagan holiday. Yeah, let's have that into the churches and promote that bullshit, right? It's like, think about it, we're teaching our children vanity and empty air or smoke, it's like, teaching them about Satan Claus, right? And, egg-laying rabbits and tooth fairy and, gnomes and all that bullshit. But let's apparently just continue to do that. What is this for? Is this a sick world I'm living in? What is this evil, insane world of liars that I'm living in? And deceivers. Well, yeah, but I'm the bad guy, apparently, right? If you'd sell, it's incredible. People, wake up, Anyway, so it seems to, it's like, you could come and celebrate these things with us and all. It would just, just for fun and food and all. Well, let's do it with these, these. Oh, no, we can't do that. Oh, I thought you just, it didn't really matter to you. Oh, so it does matter. Oh, okay. So don't go give me that bullshit, Don't try to lure me into pagan traditions when you don't want to partake in, because, it's just a meal and all that. Well, okay. If it's just a meal, well, let's keep the truth, right? Because, we can't do that, apparently. No, now you're Judaizing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, a better Judaizer than a Romanizer for sure. So again, the Judaizing has really gotten a negative taint to it. They use it as a negative thing. I don't think it's negative. And in regards of Judaizing and Judaism, Judaism I think it's a different thing, because Judaizing is right. Every time you trying to go back and, hey, maybe we should actually do this. No, you're Judaizer, That's the thing. In regards to Judaism, that is in regards of the Jews following the customs and laws, the man-made laws and traditions. That's something else. We're talking about keeping to the Bible and the festivals of Jehovah. Oh, that's in regards of what they, oh, it's Judaizing. They will use it to missing the words. They will use it to miscredit the truth. And then they put out their own bullshit. You see, already in regards of Paul, in regards of, somebody does this and that and all that. And that's, he's used to break, make a huge hole in regards of the traditions. In regards of the festivals. The thing is, if you remove the festivals, if you remove the thing that, we're not going to keep these festivals because we, whatever, and this and that, well, what have you now made? If you can make people believe, we don't need to keep them, well, what would you then begin to keep? Well, there's only one other option. Hey, and Satan comes to serve his own traditions. There you go. Let's have some fun, right? And of course, candy, feeding the fungi and all that, in regards to fungus and all that, but that's an overseen problem in our society. But yeah, sugar. How do you sell things to the children? Oh, sugar. Fill them up with sugar, and let them grow up in these traditions of vanity, of empty gain, of, it's called, vapor, smoke a vapor, stupid traditions. Anyway, full of pagan stupidity, pretty much. So, what is so bad with a Judaizer? I don't know, what is so bad with a Judaizer? Maybe because he's getting hated by the world, because the world wants to keep their traditions. Yeah, so of course it is to be expected. Anyway, so here we have another one, I guess, here, saying, there is no New Testament scriptural reference to any group called Judaizers. And it says, the people of Galatians, that's the letter of Paul, by the way, that were preaching a false gospel. The question was, who was preaching a false gospel? We know that when two gospels out in the world, in regards to the information that I've collected and all that, we know, for example, from Marcion and all that, we have the prologues to the Pauline epistles. It is said that Marcion collected all the letters of Paul because he was a Pauline Christian. And we can see the two groups that are there. Now, one group is without the law, and the other group is with the law. Now, which one of those groups do you think is the true group? Well, I think might be those that actually are teaching in regards of the scriptures, But anyway, and of course, Paul ends up cursing them twice, right? In regards of, a curse be, there we go. That's like the Roman Catholic Church, right? Of course, he was a Roman Pharisee, wasn't he? Oh, what does Jesus warn us about? Wolves in sheep clothing that, if possible, could deceive the elect, right? Do you think that maybe after Yeshua had been here, that Satan might actually have reacted and sent his own, Alright, and that we might actually should heed the warning of our master telling us, hey, there will come wolves in sheep clothing, if possible, that could deceive the elect. Maybe we should heed the warning, okay? He didn't warn us about stinking wolves like Muhammad, I can smell him miles away. Anyway, he's a false prophet. Muhammad is a false prophet. I don't care if you're 1.8 billion people. I don't care if the whole world believes that, that Muhammad is a true apostle and all that. But it's bullshit. He's not. He's a false, stinking wolf. Oh, that might be there. He's a false prophet. He's a stinking wolf. Okay, that might be better said. The man had sex with a 9-year young girl when he was 54 years old. In regards to rejecting that Jesus was executed and that God doesn't have a son. You had to be bullshitting me, Why would you ever run after a man that comes nearly 600 years after the event and then throw everything else out? Oh, and not listen to the man that actually, in regards to the first century. It's just incredible. You have to be kidding me. Yeah. Apparently, anyway. So Galatians 1 that are preaching a false gospel were the members of the Jerusalem church. So this person concludes that those that were teaching a false gospel were members of the Jerusalem church. Oh, really? They started out good, as in Acts 2:42 says, but he says, but as the years passed and we arrive in Acts 21:20, they had become zealous keepers of the Old Testament law and not zealous for Jesus. Wait. Wait. I think we have some false conclusions here. But it's true. In regards of the Nazarenes, they were zealous for the law. We see in the book of Acts that Paul comes to Jerusalem, and what happens? What does James say to Paul? There's something in regards of that you were not sticking to the law of Moses and all that. So it couldn't be true, of course. So do as I say to you in regards of cleaning yourself with 4 other guys and all that. So so people can see that this is not true and all that, right? That you are actually keeping to the law of Moses. So Paul, of course, as a hypocrite as he is, he does it. Anyway, I do wonder in regards to the money aspect of this, But anyway, he seems to be very interesting in collecting money. Anyway, but anyway, that's I don't know. Anyway, we have some, I think we have had things that have been censored down the there's a lot of information like from Melito I would have not been able to read, and other people, and it's gone. It's pretty much gone, a lot of it. We have a little of Melito, which is, some of it is just wonderful. But anyway, who knows if more is going to pop up and all that. He actually wrote on the book of Revelation. He's the right place, he's in the right, and all that. And apparently he was hated by the Romanizers. And I'm like, hey, great, I want to read more about this, this guy, and apparently his books was apparently well known. Who hasn't read the books of Melito in regards of Jesus and all that? And I'm like, well, we don't really have them in our days. We have a little here and a little there from Melito, and that's all. But some of the things that he wrote was just, it was just a magnificent, Anyway, that's another lie going around that Jesus is not God and all that. That's utter bullshit. The Jehovah's Witnesses, the false witnesses, they don't believe that Jesus is God. So I remember doing research on that, and I found, before the Council of Nicaea and all that, you have one source after another. Not only the New Testament, of course, and the Bible overall, points to that Jesus is God in the flesh. But of course, we have so many sources saying it directly. And when you talk to one of these Jehovah's Witnesses, as they call themselves, this cult, and you point out, like, for example, Melito, and they reject outright that Melito is actually saying that Jesus is God, when he's saying it on so many levels and actually saying it directly, I don't know what to do at that point. I just don't know what to do. I'm just like, okay, whatever. Anyway, just be careful, because when you begin to find out in regards to the truth, the devil is there to try to lead you away from the truth and try to take away from what you have. In regards, it took me a long time to figure out, it took me a year, something like that, of reading the New Testament, and in regards to figuring out that Jesus was God. I was like, Jesus is God. Jesus God, it was all over. It was everywhere on many different levels. When you dig into more and begin to get more understanding, it's very hard to corrupt the Bible, because it's on so many levels. So either, if you, at some point, you should, anyway. Any case, and then, of course, finding out who the Antichrist is. Well, all the Protestants knew who the Antichrist is, so why are we not knowing who the Antichrist is? Well, people are just making fun. They believe that the Pope was the Antichrist. But we know that's just bullshit, right? They had this silly idea that, the Pope was the so-called Pope was the Antichrist and all that. Oh, really? Oh, really? They believe that? Oh, okay. Yeah, but we know. Yeah, it's just yeah, whatever. They just they're radical and all that. Oh, really? Really? Anyway, it's just you can get information from scholars and all that, and you can just see that they don't themselves believe. There's like, oh yeah, but but you can still get some information in regards of these, just yeah. Anyway. So every Protestant knew that in the past. There's a huge amount of books, but of course they've been hidden away from us and all that. And it's second nature to them. It's second nature to know who the Antichrist is. Apparently, we forgot. That's going to bite us in the butt. And it is pretty much biting us. And of course, we don't know who the Jesuits is either, do we? Go read the Jesuit oath, and see how despicable it is. Nothing to do with Christianity. They use the names. They use the, just pagan bullshit with, they worship a cookie. Give me a break. They worship a cookie, a round look-alike sun cookie that is put in the monstrance that looks like what? Sun rays! And they're allowed to worship this wafer. It's idolatry. It's worshiping Satan. So when Roman Catholics are speaking about Jesus Christ, because they can sound really Christian, they're speaking about the cookie, okay? The cookie Jesus, which they believe to sacrifice again and again and again, a continual, what's it called? A continual sacrifice. I don't have the other word here apparently in my mind. They think to sacrifice Jesus, the cookie Jesus, all over again and again and again, a continual and, what's the other word? Continual and, I had another word. Apparently my brain is not working as good as, there's a lot of things, and sometimes it's just not easy to, and of course, in regards to the diflucan and all that I'm on at the moment, in regards of anti-fungus remedy, and the natural antifungal remedies and all that. But anyway, continual, let's see if I can, continual, let's see, continual, and I should have it someplace. Continual, so we can just find the word. Continual, they don't really continual. It's nice when taking no. Okay, and continual and I can't remember where it would be. Perpetual. That was perpetual. That was the word. So they think to sacrifice, so-called God, Jesus, the cookie Jesus, again and again and again and again and again in a continual and perpetual sacrifice in their whole houses. That's the Roman Catholic, meeting houses. A synagogue is in some sense just a meeting place. So you could call it, the synagogues of Satan in some sense. And some have done that, but they do this thing in regards of the cookie Jesus, and they're allowed to worship it. It's idolatry. Now that's just, of course, one thing. They have the Mary bullshit, Have to be kidding me. Oh, Mary is an everlasting virgin. Really? So what does the Bible say about that? What about reading just the first 2 pages of the book of Matthew? And figuring out, that's utter bullshit. She's not a virgin. Yeah. Yeah, anyway. So, and the rest of the bullshit that they promote. It's just incredible. It's a wicked system, So, yeah. So, yeah, Romanizing instead of Judaizing. Yeah, I think we should Judaize, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing, because the more we can Judaize, the more and easier it is to understand the Bible in regards of what is going on in the Bible to unlock it. When it's right stuff, it's the 6th month or the 7th month and the 8th month and all that. Well, if we're going to calculate the 8th month according to our new year and all that, well, we'll hit the wrong date, because the new year starts in spring. Now it might only be some month and all that, but but still, we want to get closer to the truth, right? And if we actually instruct our children in these things, and things that actually is, we might learn some things, regards of all the festivals of God, we might learn some things in regards to the past and the future. It's about Jesus. It's about Yeshua. Yeah, anyway. So that's my view. So we know that the first congregations, those that, talked with Jesus, ate with Jesus, and slept with Jesus, and so forward, they did not believe that the law was done away with. Isn't that interesting? Why wouldn't they believe that the law of Jehovah was done away? Maybe because it wasn't done away. The highest command that Jesus was, he was asked, what is the highest commandment and all that? And what does Yeshua say? He says, to love God with all your heart, your mind, and soul, and what's it called? All your mind, soul, anyway, I can't remember. But you get the point, right? So that is the highest commandment in the Torah, right? To love God with all your mind, heart, I can't remember. Why can't I remember these words? I guess my brain is not working as good as. Anyway, filling something up and something else, runs out. Oh, so Daisy. Anyway, so, but you get the point, I guess. So, who is Jesus? So, if that is a command, right, to love God with your whole being, with your, your whole soul, and who is Jesus? Of course, that's the big question, right? Who is Jesus? Is Jesus a cookie? Is he only a prophet? Is he an Egyptian mystic? Is he a guru from India? Or is he a druid from England? Is he a psychedelic mushroom? Is he, just one of many ascended masters, or one of many enlightened people? Or who is Jesus? Yeah, that's a good question, right? That's many more versions, because Satan has put a lot of decoys, I guess it's called. Decoy, I think that might be a good English word. He's put a lot of decoys out there, so people are, going around and, hard to find the real one and so forward. Just because people say they believe in Jesus doesn't mean they actually, what is this actually? Do I have some hair or something like this sticking out? Maybe I haven't been good enough to... Yes, maybe some hair. I don't know. Whatever. That looks a little darker. I don't know what that is. Oh well. It's going downhill anyway, right? Everything is going downhill, heading for the grave and then sleeping... And then, waiting for the resurrection. Yeah, of course, the Catholics believe it go directly to heaven, right? And then they go into purgatory and, hey, you just need to pay us. Then, your grandmother might actually not be in purgatory that long. Money, 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 money. It's good business, Yeah, but it's also bullshit. Bullshit. That's what it is. Anyway... that's, by the way, one of the letter from Polycrates also talks about that, sleeping, that some of the past saints are sleeping, awaiting the resurrection. They didn't think they were going directly to heaven, They were awaiting the resurrection. Like Jesus didn't go, he went into the earth 3 days and 3 nights. And then he was resurrected. He didn't go to heaven 3 days and 3 nights. He did, and paradise is not down there, okay? People are like, that's another Catholic thing, it seems, all these Catholic twistings and all that when Jesus say, you shall be with me in paradise, this day. He's not saying that, hey, you will be in paradise this very day with me. No, he says, verily, I was like, a little hard in regards to the memory here, truly, I tell you, truly, no, I can't remember it word for word, He's saying that I'm telling you today, this exact day, that you shall be with me in paradise. Not that you will be with me in paradise this very day, but that I tell you this very day that you shall be with me in paradise, because paradise is the future. It's when death had been abolished and so forward. And so anyway, as far as we can see, so that's when the new world is restored. Have a new earth and a new heaven and all that after the 1,000-year reign of Jesus Christ on this earth from Jerusalem and all that, fulfilling the prophecies found in the so-called Old Testament. Isn't it interesting? Because in regards to the Old Testament, there's still prophecies, yet to be fulfilled, and yet the devil wants us to be led away from, but it's old. It's like old newspapers, right? Yeah, but the thing is, if we don't know the scriptures in regards to the so-called Old Testament, Satan will just run with us pretty much. He will just lead us by the nose in many weird many different wrong directions, Like believing in evolution. Well, if you first read the first 2 pages of the Bible and got a little more understanding of what the Bible actually says, and then you look at evolution, there might be a problem there with the evolution doctrine, And yeah, there is, because evolution is a pagan doctrine. Oh, what a great surprise that evolution is actually coming from paganism. Yeah, the believing atheists in the West and all that pretty much believe in paganism. Yeah. I guess they must be pagans. Well, at least they're promoting paganistic doctrines. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, long before Darwin made it popular in the West in regards of evolution, it was, you could follow it back to India at least. Long back in history, long before Darwin was born. Anyway, but in regards to the first and highest law in the Torah, what is that? To love God with all your heart, with all your being, with all your soul, and all your strength, and so forward. So, if Jesus is God walking on earth, well, if he's God, what would be the highest commandment? Would that be to love him? Oh, I think it would. If Yeshua is Jehovah, I don't understand what this is. Maybe it's a more discolorization or something like that. It looks kind of, or maybe it's just some hair I forgot last time, but does look some, I don't know if it's discolorization, but anyway, after the explosion I had after I went to the bakery, that was just awful, just went up in my head, and from one day to another I could see damage in my face. Any case, that's in regards to fungus and all that. Fungus bad, don't feed those buggers. Be careful of alcohol, and smoking, and in regards of all this sugary things, soda pops and all that. There are other alternatives and all that, but I guess I shouldn't go too far off topic here. But, of course, we're not told that these, they're destroying our food sources, and they're giving us all this bullshit through the white coat Latin spouters of the doctors and all that. And they're pretty much murdering on the, and making us suffer. Anyway, but that's another topic. So the first commandment, so to keep God's law, what would be the most, thing to do? Well, to love God. Well, if Jesus is God, you shouldn't hate him, should you? You should love him. So it's actually breaking the law of Jehovah to hate Jesus, right? Because if he's God, if he's Jehovah, sent by his Father from the heavens down on the earth. If Yeshua is Jehovah, what is the first and foremost commandment? It is to love him. So if you hate him, that's breaking the law of God. And this is the first and foremost commandment. So if you actually keep the law, you will also be led to salvation, because the Son is the Passover lamb. the living bread that was broken on the tree, and his wine poured out for the sins of the world. Okay? So, that's the first commandment, right? So, and then there's another commandment, right? That is equal or, to the first. And that is to love your neighbor as yourself. And those two commandments, the whole law is hanging on. It's very, in regards of adultery, adultery, for example. You see Joseph, for example, and he's working for this Egyptian, I think it's Egyptian anyway, this guy, and he's away, the master is away, and the house owner is away, and his wife wants to commit adultery with Joseph, right? Yeah. So what does Joseph do? He runs away because he doesn't want to sin against Jehovah. So by the action that he's doing, by not wanting to commit adultery, which is a transgression, he's both showing, because he's keeping the law of God, so he's showing that he's loving Jehovah, and he's showing that he loves his neighbor, because it's not very loving to your neighbor if you have sexual intercourse with his wife, right? That's not very loving, is it? So he's showing he's upholding that he's showing he loves God, and he's showing that he loves his neighbor, and thereby those two commandments are fulfilled in regards of not committing adultery. Okay, that's just one example anyway. It's like people saying, "Oh, the law is abolished." Oh, so we can just go out and commit adultery? We can just whore to the left and the right. We can cheat and we can steal and we can lie and we can deceive. Is that okay now? Of course not. Of course not. Because it's still sin. Jesus didn't take away the law. I know Paul will say something else and all that. And if you want to go with Paul, that's your choice. But Jesus went to the tree to what? To pay the ransom for our sins. Was that to abolish the law of God? No. It was to pay the ransom for our sins, for our transgressions of the law, of the very law. That we have transgressed against Jehovah. You see, it's not the law that was, put on. It's like, anyway. I know. And of course we would expect the devil. Jesus says in a parable that, an enemy would come and sow the bad seeds. So these are something different, because Jesus is the one sowing the good eatable wheat, right? And then an enemy comes and sows in the field, which is in the world, is in regards to the world. He comes and sows the bad poisonous darnel, which is usually also translated as tares or what, but darnel is in regards of, it looks very much like the real thing, and they're growing up together with the wheat, right? With the eatable wheat, but the poisonous darnel is not eatable. So what happens? Well, there's a harvest in the future, which is still a future thing, where the darnel is taken, the tares is taken and cast into the fire, and then the good eatable wheat is taken into the master's barn. So, anyway. So, what did Jesus warn us about? Be careful of the leaven of the Pharisees. And in regards of, we also wonder, in regards of this, what's it called? What's it called? Herodians or something like that. I can't remember. Herodians. And there's some that believe that in regards of Paul and in regards of there might be some connections. I cannot really verify that. But anyway, it is an interesting. But anyway, just. But anyway. Isn't it interesting that Paul writes in 2 Timothy 1:15 that all Asia has left him? And that's Asia, that's where all the congregations that Yeshua is writing to in the book of Revelation. He's writing to 7 congregations and to Asia, the congregations in Asia Minor. That includes Ephesus. We know Paul was in Ephesus and so forward and teaching. Anyway. But apparently, and we also know that, was it Timothy he writes to when he's still in Ephesus? He's, I think it's Timothy that is in the Ephesus. I can't remember. But anyway, whatever the case, I think it's First Timothy. And in any case, isn't it interesting that we see Paul say that they left him, and then we go to the book of Revelation in chapter 2, verse 2, in regards to the congregation of Ephesus, where we know Paul has been, and Yeshua is saying, hey, there was some false apostles, and they tested them. There was something they needed to test them, and they found them liars. Wow, hey, good. Hey, thumbs up for that, guys. It's like, hey, that was So isn't it interesting that Paul would say, hey, all Asia has left me? I do wonder, why would all Asia leave Paul? Or maybe because they found out there was something wrong with Roman Pharisee Paulus or Shaul. Anyway, whatever. So, yeah. You see people, only reading the letters of Paul. You see a lot of Christians only reading the letters of Paul. And they end up attacking, they end up defending the pagan traditions and attacking the things that is found in the Bible, and attacking. Well, sometimes you feel like they're ready to burn you at the stake, for telling them the truth that, Christmas is pagan, Easter is pagan, Halloween is pagan, and hey, we actually have these festivals in the Bible, actually. And actually, we have had 500 years to change these things, and yet we haven't gone any further. Is there the Reformation, which actually failed, which became a protest, it wasn't like it needed to stop. We need to move. We always need to pull rope from Satan, because if we stop pulling rope from Satan, he will pull it away from us. He takes rope, We are in a constant battle in regards of truth and lies and deception. We're in a constant battle, and we have to stand as lights in this world and tell people the truth and expose these lies and deceptions that is in the world. And we should stop continuing committing these things. We should stop keeping Christmas or Yule, which we call Yule in Denmark and all that. Some leads it back to Saturnalia as well in regards to Rome. But anyway, whatever. Whatever the case, I don't really care, It doesn't matter in regards to, it's not found in the Bible, okay? It's pagan traditions. It's not found in the Bible. It doesn't say that we should keep Christmas or anything like that. And in regards to Jesus being born, it's much more likely that he was actually born in regards to the last festival written in the Bible and not Christmas, if you actually calculate it. But anyway, that would be in regards to the festival of Sukkot. In regards of the festival of, where you build a sukkah. That's Hebrew, so I'm having a little hard time in regards to the English here in regards to. But you build a thing where you can eat and sleep, and you can look at the heavens and all that. Anyway. So and you have the Passover, the real Passover. It's like, yeah, but Christmas is in regards of Jesus and blah blah blah. Well, all the festivals found in the Bible is in regards of Yeshua. The Passover, what represents the Passover? Yeshua. Hey, people are eating pig at Easter, right? Pig is unclean. Oh, now you're Judaizing. Oh, yeah, shrimps are unclean. Clams are unclean. It's like lobster is unclean. Crabs are unclean. I think eels are also unclean. Yeah, there's a lot of bullshit, a lot of unclean animals that we're eating. Oh, don't take our pig away from us. Oh, give me a break. There's so many other things that you can eat, like, clean animals. Anyway, it's just incredible. It's like, and locusts taste actually pretty good. Actually, I could eat some locust actually. Yeah. Just get the medium ones and, frozen down and all that. They taste the best. Just, put them on the pan or in the oven or something like that for a while and just eat them. They're actually pretty tasty. It's like eating chips. And they say they have good source of fat-soluble vitamins and all that. Anyway, pretty tasty. You just need to get over the thing that you're actually eating insects. But in regards to worms and other things of that nature, that's unclean. Locusts are okay. Locusts is said to be clean. So anyway, I think it was John the baptizer that actually ate locusts. So locust and honey, I think, is translated. So anyway, yeah. Oh, so yeah. So it's not bad to be a Judaizer. It's just they want to have this, like, that the word has like a bad negative feel to it. Oh, you're a Judaizer. Hey, great. I'm not a Romanizer. Okay, great. Hey, I'm in agreement there. Yeah, but anyway, it has been an endless battle since Yeshua in regards to the first century and all that. People upholding truth and people trying to distort the truth and twist the words of God and so forward, and deceive people. Jesus didn't warn us about wolves, because wolves are pretty easy to find out in some sense. When the Mohammedans come and say, "Oh, we believe in Jesus," and I say, "Oh, do you believe that Jesus is the Son of God and God in flesh?" It's like, no, Jesus is only a prophet. Oh, really? Oh, so that pretty much goes against the Bible, and thereby Muhammad would be a false prophet. Oh yeah, that's true, false prophet, a stinking wolf, pretty much. Oh yeah. So we can pretty much move on. Yeah, well, I'm not going to convert to Mohammedanism because it's a stinking false religion that is not based in the truth. So why would I take part in that bullshit, if you're a Mohammedan, if you, just get, find the truth, so stop waste, if you're growing up with it, I guess it's like in regards to Western people growing up with evolution and all that. You think it's the truth, right? Because you grew up with it, you never question it. Well, if you want the truth, you're going to, you have to open your eyes and figure out who Jesus Christ really is. You're following a man that came nearly 600 years after the event. Why would you ever trust someone coming 600 years and then discount all the things that we have from the first century and all the history going on? And in regards to the parables and all that about Jesus and all that, hey, you're just discounting it all and going with a false prophet. Wake up, use your mind. God gave you a mind to think with, a brain to think with, right? So use it. Just use it a little and test the things, Just don't willingly go like the rest of the people. Oh, we have 1.8 billion Mohammedans. And see how I care about, I don't care if you're 7 billion people or 10 billion people. It doesn't matter. The truth stays the same, okay? It's like, remember the flood, right? The flood. How many survived the flood? 8 people. It's not a democracy, okay? It's a kingdom and God rules, okay? So anyway, that's pretty much it. So, again, Judaizing, I don't think it's a bad thing. I actually think it's a positive thing. Because wasn't Jesus a Judaizer? Wasn't he a Jew? Didn't he keep those things? And actually, it's pretty easy, I think. Because Jesus is our master, right? He is, well, in regards to pagan terms, he would be our guru, right? So, when the pagans go to a guru, right, in India or whatever, and they go with these demonic doctrines and all that, so what is the idea of the disciple, looking to the guru? Well, to become like the guru, right? So when you have a master, in regards of Yeshua, Jesus Christ, the Yeshua HaMashiach, what do you think a disciple should become like? Following after their master. Do you think they should become more like their master or less like their master? Well, disciple, what is it in regards to discipleship that is like becoming more like the master, right? So our goal should be to go in that direction, right? To become more like him. And if there was anything that Yeshua did, that was to stand on truth. He spoke the truth, right? So we should speak the truth, right? And in regards of what festivals did Yeshua keep? Well, he kept the festivals found in the Torah. Okay? So should we maybe do that? Maybe we could learn something if we actually did it, instead of teaching, teaching these erroneous things to our children. It's not very loving to teach the children. And the thing is, there's a demonic thing as well, because when you teach the children a lot of lies and deceptions, and they figure out it's just a lie and a deception and all that, they can actually end up, including myself, end up putting Jesus in the same box. Well, all the other things that these people told me was wrong. Why would I believe that Jesus was true then, right? And the devil does his deeds and leads the people away from the truth. It's just so demonic, But if you actually taught the children the truth from the beginning, they would grow up and they could have a much deeper understanding of the things, because they were keeping things that wasn't, empty pagan stupidity. Opening the scriptures up more, and getting more understanding by doing what God told us to do, and getting, anyway, and to, yeah, anyway, it's all about Jesus. It's all about Yeshua, and he's coming back to rule the nations of the world. Now, of course, the Antichrist is just going to have his, little new world order, which is just the old world order, as I call the poop doom and all that. And as I understand it, Rome will be destroyed at some point when the system has, I guess, done its whatever. But it will be destroyed in the future. That's the great whore that rules over the kings of the earth and so forward and all that. That would be Rome. But the beast, you have to remember, the beast continues. It's only the whore that goes away. The beast of the number 666 goes on at that point. Okay? So, anyway, I'm thinking, he's probably have so much control at that point, so he doesn't need this deceptive system anymore. But anyway, the future will show, I guess. So, yeah. Anyway, it's the Sabbath at the moment. It's the holy day of the week, and it's actually it could be worse. The weather is actually pretty good compared to the other days. There is, it's not totally, but it's looking pretty good compared to many others. Some sun. Oh, nice. There's some sun out there, and it looks pretty good. Anyway, maybe I should kind of, the diarrhea and all that, getting hungry, and, I don't know, it's just mostly water coming out. I guess when I'm eating meat, there's not much coming out anyway, because meat is, the body really uses meat. It's incredible. This is it really, it's really, when you eat meat, there's not much output. The input compared to the output is very, very small. So the body is very, very effective of using meat. So, anyway, so a little in regards to fruit and vegetables, there's a lot more output coming out. I don't know, maybe we should take this one. Oh. I did some, I'm still on a fungal protocol, trying to kill off the fungus in me. So I'm doing different things, some diflucan and got some resveratrol, which is also said to be antifungus and all that. And I don't know if it was the resveratrol or I did two things besides, because the first 4 days in regards of the diflucan was very, very, that was, wow. And then I did the resveratrol. It's called resveratrol, and I took a pretty good amount of that. But I also took some cinnamon and all that for the, so I'm not in, both of them are said to be antifungals and all that, but that ended me up in getting to a worsened state again. I guess it might have killed more fungus again than my system could handle. Well, anyway, let's not get off topic here. Oh yeah, by the way, in regards of the best movie that has been made in regards of the Bible, this is the one. The Gospel of John, 3 hours. You can find it on YouTube and see it in a pretty good quality and all that. This is the best movie. I think it must be my favorite movie out there, because in regards of the Gospels, you always get something more out of it, and it's 3 hours, and that's pretty much it. It's a great movie, I think. Of course, there are some things here and there for sure that I would complain about, but I guess I'm always, but it's keeping to the text. I remember years ago when I saw a lot of different Bible movies and all that. The problem with these Bible movies, if you see them, is that a lot of these are taking a huge amount of freedom, and that's so. And I've seen people pick up on things that they've seen in a movie, and then they go and promote it like it's in the New Testament when it's not in the New Testament. So because they picked it up in one movie they saw. So this is pretty. It's keeping. It's not taking too much of freedom. From the. It's following the Bible word for word. That's the 3 hour version and 2 hour version. I would go for the 3 hour version. That's it doesn't feel that long anyway. So it's the actors are great, I think. And there are some things that could have been done better, but overall, it's the best that is out there. Absolutely the best that is out there, I think. I don't think there's any comparison to the Gospel of John, this one. It is pretty much, I think, the best. They use word for word based on the Good News Bible. I'm not sure, but it's still, yeah. I guess they might have had some, I don't know, but they use it on Good News Bible, whatever. But they actually there's actually surround sound as well. I remember when that was a big thing in regards of surround sound and so forth. But anyway, disc 1 entire word for word version, 3 hours from 2003, and then you have the disc 2 highlight version, 2 hours and 15 minutes. 2005, and special features. But I don't know why, what the, just take the 3 hour version, and then at least you will know that, that it follows the Bible word for word, even if it's a foreign translation that you have here. I don't know much about the translation overall, but, there's many translations, right? So that's absolute. It's called the Visual Bible as well. I think the Visual Bible, if I remember correctly, I can't see it at the moment. See here. See no approval. No, this doesn't really say anything regard. I think it's called the Visual Bible. They have made 2 other movies, but they are older, and the Gospel of John is absolutely the best, I think. The Book of Acts is actually, I think, pretty good as well in regards to showing how Paul, because the Book of Acts is still an interesting book to get a glimpse in what is actually going on. And that's, we don't have that much to or maybe we have and maybe we don't have but it's like we have the Book of Acts, right? That's one book. But of course we have some other sources that talks about, but overall it's not that much in regards of what actually happens to the Nazarenes and so forward. We know they existed, down the line. Oh, that's in regards of Michael Rood has a man on his show today. That's probably 2 o'clock in the night, actually. Or was it today, maybe? No. No, yeah. That might actually have been on the air in the night, 2 o'clock in the night, in Denmark, anyway. He has also followed the Nazarenes. That might actually be some interesting things. Apparently, because the Nazarenes goes to Pella, and I have another I've read a book that is an older book in regards to the Nazarenes, and I think he in regards to conclusions, I think he got some. But overall, it was a pretty good book in regards to the Nazarenes, because of interesting more in the Nazarenes, because they are the first Christians, right? Where is the book? Should have been here somewhere. Huh. Oh, there we go. I think it's this. No, that's not. Where is it? That's a good question. Maybe I should take some glasses on. That's interesting. Well, it should be. Let's see. That's a good question. Where could that have been? There we go. I think I have it here. Well, I have it here. So this is the book. Let's turn it around here. Just sitting on all the other for some underneath. This is Ray Pritt's Nazarene Jewish Christianity from the end of the New Testament period until its disappearance in the 4th century. Now it is I guess an older book, or not that new at least, from the newest. But he goes into figuring out in regards to the Nazarenes. The subject of this book was suggested to me over Christ Mass dinner by Randall Booth, while I was surprised to find that no comprehensive monograph had been done on the Nazarenes. The present study is only a small step in that direction. So again, other people are doing research on this in our days and all that. So he goes on and talking about the Ebionites and the Nazarenes. There was two prevalent Jewish groups, the Ebionites and the Nazarenes. Now, the Ebionites, as far as I can gather, comes out from the Nazarenes and probably after the temple is destroyed. And they, as Satan always, as Satan always does, and so forward, they didn't believe that Jesus was, God and the Son of God and so forward. And they didn't believe in the virgin birth so when people are talking about a Jewish sect or whatever, and you can see what doctrines they believe, you can sometimes figure out if they are Nazarenes or the Ebionites. And sometimes some of the attackers of they will use the Ebionites and all that. The Ebionites didn't believe that Jesus was there, but the Ebionites was not the original Nazarene. That was not the original group. The Nazarenes was the original group. So you have to be careful, because there's a lot of bullshitters out there, and Satan doesn't want the truth out there. So I can't remember when they wrote it. 1992. So again, we still have people researching this, and one of them is the guy that is on Michael Root's show at the moment, and this is number 3. So actually it should be finished like an hour, so I'll see if I can have a look on that. I've looked at the book that, of course he's selling the book, so that's, but he, as I understand, he actually found some information in regards of we have some information in regards of the line of the different bishops or the leaders in Jerusalem, and we have the list of the names of all, and that they were circumcised until I think it was 100 or something. They got a one that wasn't circumcised. Was 135? I'm not entirely sure. But we have a source that talks about the list of the people that that took it from who was leading the Jerusalem congregation and so forward. I think it was 135. I might be wrong. I might be entirely wrong, because it's a long time since but where they get actually one that is not circumcised. Apparently this guy talks about that. You also had some of the Nazarenes, being dispersed as well, with the Jews also being dispersed in regards of the Romans and all that. And apparently he has found something that shows where they might have possible gone, as I understand it. So it's interesting. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of interesting information in our days. That's for sure. But I think I think we can pretty much reconstruct what they believed. They still believed that the law was to be kept, and of course, if you look on Yeshua talking about, that seems to be his opinion as well, right? In regards of whosoever breaks the smallest commandment and so forward, that's in the book of Matthew, and the book of Matthew would of course be the gospel that the Nazarenes was using. So. Yeah, in Hebrew. So I do actually have an interesting thing, sources of, I think it might have been Jerome or something like that, where I have some information in regards of from the Nazarene Gospel that I haven't read up on. It should be here somewhere. Good question. Well, it's someplace. Where, in regards to the differences in regards to the Hebrew and the Greek and so forward. And sometimes it seems like some of the Hebrew manuscripts actually can help us. And probably in regards to the Aramaic as well, we have the Aramaic as well. And we have 22 books of the Aramaic compared to the 27 in Greek. And the name of God wasn't really taken out. They use Maya. So the New Testament is even more clear that Jesus is God, actually. So, because in the Greek version, they took this out, right? So, and we know the name of God was in these manuscripts of, we have these, as far as I can see anyway, because we have the Jews discussing this in regards of these documents of the Minim, which is the, Jewish believers. And they have like, what are we going to do with this? If we're going to burn it, well, the name of God is in there. So what should we do? They're discussing, should we clip them out before we are burning the documents of theirs? Or what are we, so they saw it as a really, they still have, they call Yeshua, they call Yeshu. And Yeshu is an acronym for may his name be obliterated and blotted out. The Jews know they executed Yeshua, that he was put on a tree. They know that, but they think it was a righteous act. He made himself into God. So that's blasphemy, right? So we have to execute him. So again, when the Mohammedans come and say, well, that's just bullshit, because the Jews have the Jews have sources in regards of Yeshu, being executed on the eve of Passover. So yeah, anyway, it's incredible. So that's the whole center point of the things. Who is Yeshua? Find out who Yeshua is. That's the most important thing, and then next, figure out who the Antichrist is, so you don't get deceived by him. Wolves in sheep clothing that could, if possible, deceive the elect. So, a lot of the Christians are ending up going for the Antichrist nowadays, because the people behind the pulpit are, singing love songs to the Antichrist. I don't know what they're doing behind the pulpit when they're singing love songs to the Antichrist. I have no idea why they would even stand there in a Protestant congregation when we know that all the Protestants protest the Antichrist. So what would anyone do behind a pulpit singing love songs and leading the flock back to the Antichrist? The first thing I think one would do would be to give him a boot out of the congregation. Why should he teach on that? Why should he speak if he's leading you back to the devil's puppet? It just doesn't make sense. To the triune tyrant. The world is is gathering around the Antichrist, and even the Protestants are falling for this. And the Protestants that knew who the Antichrist is. And now, it doesn't really matter. Apparently no one wants to talk. Well, very few wants to talk about it and this and that. It doesn't matter, this and that. And, shouldn't speak hate speech and bullshit, this and that. And, it's just the truth. You see, they have some very, Roman Catholics have some very devious tactics. Wouldn't you expect that, if they're working for Satan, it was like, one of the things where it was like one of these Roman Catholics coming into a Protestant bookstore, and this person is writing to this Catholic website. It's like, oh, I went into a Protestant bookstore and I found anti-Catholic material. The horror. So what should I do? Just disgusting. So the answer was that she could in and ask them and show that this is just bullshit and blah blah, pretty much, and so so it could get removed. And anyway, hey, if you're going into a Protestant bookstore, you might actually expect some Protestant material. No, apparently not. No, that's not okay, apparently, because we don't. What is like they have this. They don't. What is it called? They don't allow it. We shouldn't tolerate it. I've seen Roman Catholics like, we shouldn't tolerate it. Shouldn't tolerate. Oh yeah, that's like, oh yeah. We shouldn't tolerate. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, let's burn the heretics on the stake, right? Yeah, history, right? Anyway, so it's just disgusting, and they use these tricks to, you shouldn't do, the Catholics are brothers and sisters and blah 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 blah, right? Hey, they're worshiping a cookie. They can be very offended when you actually tell them, hey, you're worshiping a cookie. It's like, and then they just, it's like, yeah, but they get stirred up and all that. Well, isn't it the truth? Isn't it you're worshiping a cookie, right? Don't give me the bullshit. You're worshiping a cookie. You're worshiping Satan through a cookie. Anyway, there is like that. Satan doesn't like to get exposed. So or Mary bullshit and all these different kinds of so-called saints that they pray to. Ignatius Loyola. Yeah, you have Saint Ignatius Loyola. A man that in regards to the Jesuits, the first general of the Jesuits. Yeah, you have to be kidding me. Anyway, you can buy these small cards in regards to, I can't remember what they're called, and then there's a prayer on the card, and another prayer, you can see the image of the whatever. It's just it's incredible. Anyway, just tired of the bullshit, pretty much. I think it's disgusting, when they can't even say to you, that they are Roman Catholics, that's just trying to deceive you. And I was talking to a Catholic on YouTube. That's one of the and I asked him, are you a Roman Catholic? He responded very the person responded very angry in regards to what I wrote. So I was like, are you a Roman Catholic? And I was like asking like 3 times and all that, and just never got a response. Like it's just that doesn't matter, and there that it's stupid to ask, and the information and blah blah blah. It's like, couldn't you just answer? Is it so hard to be truthfully? If you ask me if I was a Protestant, a Christian Protestant, hey, I would say yippee yay, absolutely. Anyway, so if I ask you if you are Roman Catholic, is it so hard to say yes or no? Apparently very hard, very hard. Anyway, it's just yeah. So of course, in regards to the Roman traditions, they usually keep in regards to Sunday, right? So that's tomorrow. And in Denmark, when we entered the Roman European Union, we changed the 7th day to the 6th day, and the first day to the last day, according to man-made laws. But of course, that's bullshit, because God's law rules. So, God's law trumps man-made laws, right? So even if this is one of these, again, another insanity that, we fought to change the last day to another day. What bullshit? What other bullshit, What absolutely bullshit. And yet no one seems to care about that either. And no one seems to care about that either. And now everybody believes that the last day is Sunday. You have to be kidding me. Yeah, if we just cared a little about the truth, we could change so many things so very quickly, just throw all the pagan traditions out and actually just keep the real ones. And it might actually be a little hard in the beginning, but, to get, but it should be pretty easy, helping each other in regards of just keeping the festivals in the Bible. That would be a good step in the right direction, and the Sabbath as well. Get some Judaizing out, 500 years to read the Bible since the Protestants began to protest. I guess the Protestants has always been there. But in regards of the protest, in regards to the 1500, around 1500, well, that was when it pretty much exploded in regards of, Rome had some issues. Rome had some really, really big issues. And, yeah. Anyway. And now we're just being led back to the Antichrist and no one cares. We have enough in our, square box on the wall, putting out all the propaganda, and the Roman circus, the Roman arena, the Roman Colosseum, and of course then we have the Roman theater. And that keeps all the people occupied, and of course then we have video games as well. That keeps us occupied, and of course the sick system we have, based on Latin and Greek in regards to white coat murderers and butchers, in regards to doctors. Well, when we are getting sick, of course, then it also makes some issues there. And of course, then we have the satanic feminist movement as well, that wanted to commit whoring and kill the weakest of our citizens when they became pregnant. And of course, the hatred of the patriarchal system. So, and go out on, getting an education that has nothing to do with motherhood, and then getting a career that has nothing to do with motherhood, and then pretty much ruining the women. And thereby ruining the women, you ruin the family and the men. And, everything falls. And, it's very sad. And it's not only hurtful for the men and the children, it's also hurtful for the women on so many levels. But, women apparently knows better, right? So let's just murder some more children, right? And it's just stupidity. When a woman doesn't know how to actually, in regards of getting the right nutrition and all that, well, she's not going to get healthy babies, right? So, that's the women are the ones that, was going in regards to the kitchen and knowing all this stuff and all that, so the men could focus on other things in regards to defending the family against Satan, in regards to, but when the men are weak and that they always have complaints from women and all this and all that bullshit and all that, how is he going to defend against Satan, Anyway, the women runs for a career, and then they're 40 fat and finished, and then they find out too late that actually they've been tricked. So women top at 21 of age. That's Oh yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. So sad. We have so much, now the homosexual movement is on, that's just been now like accepted apparently in most, a lot of the parts of the world. And we have these homosexual parades in Copenhagen, for example, and other places, What other bullshit? Why would we have a parade of such disgusting things? One thing is that people do it. Another thing is to parade it and find pride in their abominations, their transgressions. I don't understand, Why are we, and then, it's like a show and letting our children observe it and actually letting them also take part in this, it's just incredible. And of course, you have a huge amount of groups that actually is, also in regards to children and all that, what is it called, the children, what is it called, pedophilia and all that. And also is promoting this bullshit, and now the world has just gone nuts. They don't even know if they are a boy or a girl anymore, because they're getting taught by drag queens, which is also another abomination, by the way. A man shouldn't put on what a woman has, and a woman shouldn't put on what a man has, and all that. It's just, give me a break. Why would you, I would never, why would I ever, as a parent, let my child be? You have to be kidding me, Yeah, it's just incredible. I guess if you want to have your children brainwashed, just send them to the state school, and not teach them for yourself, So anyway, I still believe that in a week I could teach my child more valuable stuff than I get from a 10-year, years of schooling in the state school, 7 days. Then I could give my child some of the most valuable things, that they wouldn't get from the school system. And actually the school system would teach them a lot of bullshit as well. So, and who knows if there's going to be drag queens in the future in Danish schools as well, Apparently they seem to be doing it at other places. I don't know if it actually been doing. I've seen they actually bowing before in regards of Allah and some Danish school, that they made this practice of bowing down to Allah. They the teachers apparently let this Mohammedan kid show, and actually and then the children should do like he did. You're worshipping a false god. You're teaching the children to worship a false god who has no son. It's incredible. It's just disgusting. The world has gone nuts. The world has gone utter nuts. And seems to be no end of it. Apparently, seems, the insanity seems to going, total nutcase. Total down the drain. It's very sad. Anyway, I should probably stop. The battery is pretty low, and I think I need to go to the toilet again. I'm still having some problems with my stomach and all that. That's all fine and all that, but it's a little annoying going to the toilet all the time. Well, not all the time, but often. Let's say it on that way. Anyway, have a good Sabbath. I'll see if Michael Root actually have that third. He probably did have it, I think, in the middle of the night. I think actually, so that's great. Be interesting. That's around an hour. See what they have to say of. Oh,